Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be doing 7.34D. I'm aware I'm late by like 2 days, but without further ado, let's get into it and talk about the changes, and mostly discuss what do these changes actually mean for Dota, what hero should you be playing, and which one should you not be, and let's get into it. Starting off, we have Blade Mail losing 2 damage. I still think the heroes that would previously buy Blade Mail should still do that. Dual Scepter is now 100 gold cheaper, which I think makes sense. The item was kind of bad. Midas lost 5 attack speed, but I still think the item is pretty good. Heart of Tarask is 100 gold more expensive. Once again, definitely, a hurt to the item, but nothing that's going to kill it. After that, we have Wind Waker, which actually increased in cost. This is because Yule's was technically nerfed. I guess Valve saw that people are still buying a good amount of Wind Waker, but that was only in the late game, right? It was basically a late game item that people would pick up to disengage or save their teammates. However, Yule's was extremely uncommon, and so I kind of like these changes. It's pretty cool. Occult Bracelet has been nerfed for the 8th time in a row. Can you guys believe that this item used to give, I think it was 5 all stats, 10% magic resist, and then for 10 seconds it would give 0.5 mana regen. It was so broken. Tumbler's Toy lost a little bit of mana, which is fine. I think this item was definitely really good. The cooldown on Ninja Gear, this makes sense. This actually makes a lot of sense. The cooldown on Ninja Gear is nerfed by 15 seconds. It was just too easy. Like, if you had Octarine Court, you had permanent Ninja Gear. And it was really stupid. This item, it just would keep you smoked all the time. And on top of that, what you could do, let's say you didn't want to hold Ninja Gear in the fights, right? You wanted to use, like, Ninja Gear to smoke yourself and then use something else. You could pop the smoke and then swap it out, right? Now you can't do that. Abaddon got a little bit of int, some int gain, and his barrier was increased. This ability at level 1 is honestly so broken. This hero's trading in lane, at least as a support, is kind of nuts. So, I don't know, I feel like Abaddon's not that bad. The problem is it has 2 semi-useless abilities as a support, and that always kind of holds it back. As the game progresses, it just does nothing. Then we have Animage. The base armor is increased by 1, and the mana cost on Mana Void is a little bit better. Actually, quite a lot better at max, which, you know, the hero has mana problems in the late game, so, or at least in the mid game, so it kind of makes sense. And 1 armor is good for a hero like I am. Spark Wraith now deals 40% more damage to non-hero units. This is a huge change, guys. This means the hero can farm significantly faster, and I would even argue that more importantly, well, I'm not gonna say, okay, equally importantly, it can secure creeps in the lanes, especially the range creep, right? This will make it do way more damage to the range creep, and make it not even close to being able to secure it. Also, now it can be self-cast to spawn the double next Arc Warden, which is whatever, I guess that's not too big of a change. But yeah, this Spark Wraith change is a huge buff. Arc Warden's win rate was already pretty good. Yes, mostly the people playing it are the spammers, but I still think that this hero is actually semi-broken in low to average MMR pubs. Next up, Beastmaster lost 1 armor, which is pretty rough. The hero's armor was already bad. And then they nerfed the root duration of the Hawk from 1 second to 0.25. Makes sense, it was too easy to chase people down in the laning stage. The hero's laning was too good, and I think the allure of Beastmaster is the insane mid-game. Right, this hero has a crazy mid-game because of the fact that the Helm 2 timing is nuts, the Axe timing is nuts, you can roach, take buildings, you fight well. So it's a very strong mid-game hero, but it was a strong laner and a strong mid-game hero, and it scaled well. Bounty Hunter's base attack time is way better now. I guess that means you can sort of scale as a right-clicking core, but at least just in the laning stage, you trade much better. Drunken Brawler, it gives less of a multiplier, not by some crazy amount, but it is certainly a nerf. At the end of the day, this could get you killed in a lot of scenarios. So the Brood Up multiplier is worse, the mana cost on Split is worse, the hero does have, mana problems. Pretty significant ones in certain cases, so this hurts. And then now when you buy the Shard, it was funny, I played a Brewmaster game, and I didn't realize the patch came out, no joke, I just didn't realize. I don't know how, it just didn't pop up, I didn't see it. And so I played a game, and I kept trying to cancel on like a different Brewling, and you can't anymore. Now, it only goes back to the main one. Or at least, if the main one's dead, then it will go back to, like, the second one. I actually don't even know what the second one is. I think it's the Wind Panda. But essentially, you have to be much more careful. So basically, now what you have to do is suicide the Earth Panda if you want to disengage on the Wind Panda, is, I believe, what this change means. After that, Chaos Knight received an insanely large buff. Creep damage multiplier increased from 1.6 to 1.9, a 30% damage increase when you crit to creeps. I mean, this hero is going to farm so fast. I already thought CK was a pretty good hero in pubs, at least in your average pub, and now it's just way better. Because something you have to keep in mind, guys, is this change, making it do bonus damage to creeps, means you heal more, right? In the laning stage, when you're critting off the creeps, you're healing much more. right? And so you can stay in the lane much better too. It's not just like a farming buff, it's also a laning buff. Crystal Maiden's Shard no longer interrupts Crystal Maiden's channeling. Oh, so you can Crystal Clone while ulting. Oh, that seems pretty broken actually. And they buffed the cooldown. This shard is insane, guys. If you play CM and don't buy this shard, you're so dumb. It costs no mana, it's no cooldown, it's like sort of a Force Staff. It works during your ulti now, and it farms creep camps and creep waves. This thing is insane. Willow's Q got nerfed by 2 seconds, not the end of the world. Intelligence Neon Dawnbreaker decreased, and her 25 talent decreased, not the end of the world. They buffed Death Prophet's level 15 talent, nothing huge. Gust now gives bonus movement speed, 6% more at max level. It used to be 10% flat, now it's 10, 12, 14, 16. Nothing huge, but once again, 6% movement speed. Pretty good. That's pretty good. Not gonna change hero, it's pretty good. Earth Spirit, the only change he got, regardless of how much this hero is being picked, the only change he got is that the level 20 talent Boulder Smash damage lost 25 damage. That's it? Really? That's the only change. Earthshaker, Enchant Totem cooldown at 25, also only slightly worse. Kind of a funny change. I don't think Shaker is that broken after all the previous nerfs, so probably fine. Eidolon Gold Bounty decreased by 4. Flat, it's pretty good. Mana cost decreased, very significant. Oh wow, oh wow, huge buffs to Enigma. The mana is way less, 50 less at max, which is a ton. And here's the big thing, the cooldown on demonic summoning is 40 instead of 60. That is nuts, a 33% buff to the cooldown at level 1. And they feed less gold, and it costs less mana. And it's even better at max level, it's 2 seconds less. Not much better, but hey. Huge buffs. I don't think this hero is frankly bad. Yes, it still costs HP to summon, which I frankly think is sort of stupid. It just seems weird on Enigma. I don't know. It just seems very odd. I guess conceptually it's like, oh, you're sacrificing part of yourself to make Eidolons. It's like, I guess I get it. You know, okay. They slightly nerfed Grimstroke's 15 talent. Definitely still a good hero. Gyrocopter's Ags. The side gunner is 0.1 seconds worse. Still definitely good. Scurry, buff duration rescaled from 4 to 3.54, 4.55. I would say that's slightly a buff. Huskar's Burning Spears went from 8 second duration to 9, which I actually think is a semi-major buff because people will live on like 100 health to Huskar very frequently, or like 50 health, even 30 health. People will live on these HP ranges, and this will finish them off, so it's a decent change. Invoker lost 0.5 HP regen, the freeze heal is worse on Cold Snap, and burn mana as mana restored decreased from 50 to 25. I don't want to say this hero is killed off of this, but I mean, these are brutal changes, especially the mana burn as mana restored. If you casted EMP, not only did it burn mana, it would give the mana back to Invoker. Well, half of it. Now it gives 25% of it back. That's pretty bad because this would allow you to continue to cast your spells, right? You would hit the combo, EMP would give you a good amount of the combo back, and then you do it again later with like a little bit of mana regen items, right? Now that's much less of a reality, so it's pretty rough. They nerfed the Kunkka Torrent AoE talent, which I actually like this change. This talent with Axe is insane, dude. It's insane. Okay, they slightly nerfed Legion's 20 talent. What are these changes? I feel like this is back to the old Valve patch. I'm not gonna lie, where like, there's just a lot of changes that I'm like, are so pointless. There's plenty of good changes, don't get me wrong. It's a good patch so far, I like the patch, but there's definitely a good amount of changes where I'm like, how did they come up with this? It's like semi-random. Lich base intelligence increased by 2. That's actually quite a lot, considering that gives him 2 damage and the ability to spam a tad more. They buffed his 15 talent as well. Not bad. Life Stealer, max health damage increased by... Whoa! What the hell? Oh my, from 0.8, 1, 1.2, 1.4 to 1, so it's 0.2 better at level 1, which is just good for laning. And then at max, it's 0.5% better. This is max health we're talking about on a hero that has high attack speed. That's crazy, that's a huge buff. I mean, that's a huge buff. People are gonna at least be looking at this hero. It's still kind of a clunky hero, like sort of a weird laner, doesn't farm that fast. Doesn't push in waves very well, but I don't know, this is a very significant buff, and people were picking it before this. I saw a couple people picking it up. I don't know, kind of interesting. Definitely an Armlet hero too, and that item's really good. Armlet's like a really good item. Luna, the Moonglave's bounce, reduction per bounce, increased very significantly actually. 3% better at max, 6% at level 1. That's actually very good. Aghanim Shard, self-damage reduction reduced. Yeah, I honestly barely know what the shard does. I'm not going to read into that too much. Shockwave, mana cost rescaled. It's 75 flat now, that's not too huge. Sidekick is no longer castable on illusions. I didn't even know it was. Now is always active for Marcy with 50% effectiveness, even if it's not applied to any ally. So that's just a Marcy buff. That's not bad. That's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. If there's no one nearby and you're farming a creep wave, you just get 24 damage at max and 12.5% lifesteal. That's pretty good. Meepo got 0.25 mana regen, base mana regen. It's not bad. And a huge buff to the Ransack at level 1. Oh, it's against heroes, which isn't that good. It's a little hard to heal off heroes early on. It's the same at max, which I would say is like the main selling point anyway. And Mega Meepo lasts 5 extra seconds. That's pretty good. Nature's Prophet lost 2 base strength, which is actually very rough. I really do think changes like that make quite a big difference in heroes living or not, or being able to trade out or not. And then Sprout lost 3 seconds of cooldown. It's the same at max, 9 seconds, but went from 12 to 15 at level 1, making his trading much worse. Cast range on Fire Blast, 50 better. It's actually very significant. Bonus attack speed on Bloodlust, much better actually. It went from 60 to 75 at max, which is quite significant. I'm kind of a fan of this hero, I'm not gonna lie. Its laning is sort of bad though, from my experience. It's sort of a bad laner. But they buffed the Q cast range, which is very nice, and now they buffed Bloodlust attack speed, which is very good. It's even much better at level 1. The self bonus attack speed on Bloodlust went from 30 to 40. So at level 1, you give yourself Old Midas attack speed, 2 gloves of haste. You can just, for 30 seconds, for 40 mana, I'm pretty sure the build is Ignite Bloodlust at level 2. I don't think you go Nuke because Nuke is more mana. Maybe you go Stun Bloodlust, so you can close the gap easier for hits. Because the Bloodlust is very good for trading. And you can put it on 2 allies at the same time. I'm pretty sure that's the build. Swashbuckle, mana cost increased. This hero has mana problems, so that is very significant. Mana cost increased on Shield Crash. Now he's certainly gonna have mana problems. The damage on your W is worse, not by a ton, but it's certainly worse and harder to secure creeps with. And the Swashbuckle damage decreased at level 20. I'm not gonna lie, I still think the hero is gonna be popular. It's still Pango. PA, here we go. Vanish radius increased from 400 to 500. So basically it's easier to scout her out, and I do think this matters a lot because you would barely miss her. You would barely miss her very frequently. Aghanim Scepter cooldown on Blur rescaled from 10 seconds to 50% of the current cooldown. Yeah, that's just awful because the cooldown was 45. Now it's 22.5. I mean, seems very bad. Aghanim Scepter no longer increases Vanish buffer. Oh yeah, I forgot it did that as well. Okay, so, I mean, these are huge nerfs, because a big problem with PA is you just literally could not see her, and this obviously hurts that, and her capability to do that, by a lot, right? Also, chance of deadly focus decreased from 20% to 17%, and they nerfed the dagger from 40% to 34%. So, huge PA nerfs. Is the hero still good? I want to say it's still good. Still think it's good. It's still going to be a menace in the late game, but it's not. These are very significant nerfs. They are very significant nerfs. I don't want to say she's out of the meta. I don't think she is. Definitely worse. I still would keep your eye on the hero though, for sure. Primal Beast, the E is a little bit worse. They buffed Pugna very significantly, like very significantly. Building damage on Nether Blast 15% better. That's a lot, right? It's going to let you take these buildings much quicker. It will add up. Decrepify enemy movement speed slow went from 30 to 45% at level 1, and much better slow at level 1, so you can use this ability now in the laning stage to stick on top of people. Obviously you could in the past, but it's just much better now at level 1, same at max. Here's the big thing, here's the kicker. The cast range of Decrep, not only in the laning stage, but also in the late game, right, at all levels is 75 better. This makes this hero way better. One of the old nerfs to Pugna when it was hyper meta was reducing the cast range of Decrepify. This was one of the things in the past. Now it is buffed back almost to its exact old spot. I think it was slightly better in the past, but it was very close to this. So this is pretty huge. Smokescreen radius is 50 bigger on Ricky. Wow, that is a lot. That shit's huge. They buffed the cooldown on Burrow Strike by 1 second at all levels, mostly good for team fighting. They slightly nerfed Shadow Demon. They slightly buffed Slaughter. They slightly nerfed Slark. Huge buff to Spectre. Uh-oh. Oh, God. This hero was... Okay. If you're a pub player, guys, no offense, but Spectre's a hero. This hero's win rate was already insane. I don't think the hero was bad. It gets punished by better players because it has to farm lane creeps, and so I think it gets punished quite a bit for that. I say that, but like PA was good. But PA was a better laner, and I would say it had more of an explosive timing, you know? But Spectre, it can get so active now. 60-second cooldown on Shadow Step. You just need a mana item to make sure you can sustain this, but you can be so active. Crazy. Movement speed is damage increased on Greater Bash. Again? Dude, Greater Bash just does 40% of his movement speed. I'm pretty sure it used to be like 25 or something. I don't know. Crazy though. Sven got huge nerfs, 4 less damage. But here's the kicker, even though 4 less damage is rough, his bonus damage on God Strength is 20% worse at all levels. 20%! That is brutal. I don't want to say the hero's out of the meta, but I don't know. This is pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Alright, they buffed Blast Off on techies. It's 1 second worse at level 1, oddly enough. But it's 5 seconds better at max, which is very significant. All flying hero units can now trigger the mines. They buffed Timbersaw, they made his Q better. It's 5 damage at level 1, and then 20 at max, which is not insane, but it's pure. Tree Protector lost 2 base damage, which is irrelevant. 0.25 mana regen, which is semi-irrelevant. His 15 talent got nerfed, and so did his 25, so that hero is almost the exact same. Vengeful Spirit, cooldown on the stun is 3 seconds worse at level 1, not the end of the world. They did nerf the Wave of Terror attack damage reduction by 5%. Still think this hero is very, very good. Cooldown on the bird drop, the stone form, is 3 seconds better, which is actually nice. Definitely helps in teamfights if you want to drop them more frequently or go for more chain stuns. Slow on upheaval is better at level 1, but worse at max. But it's only per second, so it's still going to be... This hero is still very, very good. Warlock's still very, very good. Weaver, damage on Sakuchi is 15 more damage at max. Same earlier on. They also buffed the Gemini damage, 5 more at each levels, which is not bad. It's okay. I don't think the hero's like insane now, but adds up. The hero does a lot of Sakuchis, a lot of Geminis. It will add up. Reduction per unit, reduced on power shots, good for farming. Main projectile on Splinter Blast increased by 100, which means it's way easier to hit this ability. They also buffed Winter's Curse, making it 0.25 seconds better at each level. That's really, really nice. Witch Doctor's base strength got increased by 2, which is actually a lot. I mentioned earlier about Furion, I really do think it matters. But they nerfed Death Ward cooldown. Okay, so here's the nerfs. Oh, not really. I mean, weird. Okay, it's changed. So the cooldown was 180-60, now it's 190-80. So obviously in the late game, you have less Death Wards. Not the end of the world, could matter, will matter, certainly sometimes. Not the end of the world, I'll say. It's a big nerf, but the damage on Death Ward at level 1 is 10 more, and this is pure damage, right? It obviously used to be 80, so it's not even back to what it used to be when the hero was hyper broken, but it is 10 more damage. It's the same damage at max, it's 5 more at 12. It's pretty good. I don't think Witch Doctor's bad. I think Witch Doctor is still very good. And then finally, Wraith King Stun is better at level 15, his talent. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you learned. Hopefully you took quite a bit out of this analysis of the patch. And yeah, tomorrow I'll make a video on heroes that you should try, builds you should try, and things you could think about. And I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.